Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, we got my new little project in the work stand. It's a Raleigh, almost forgot them, Raleigh Mustang. Previous owner removed the stickers, but it's all been cleaned up, put a rack on and some other bits. Anyway, it's a bit of a bodge up this. I say it's a bodge up, I don't know. I mean, it's a derailleur hanger which bolts on. I've just welded it along the top here and then also on the back. I couldn't get the wheel far enough back to get the clearance that I wanted, so anyway, I've done that. The bottom bracket is the purpose of this video. This is I call it a BMX bottom bracket, but they're kind of known as an American bottom bracket. It's too big for a BSA threaded normal screw fit, and I want to run some nice XT cranks, some kind of retro XT cranks in here, so I'm going to fit, if I can get this to focus. Here we go. These are some adapters which I got off eBay. Normally I would run the DMR Wonder Cups. My old Kona up here has got some DMR Wonder Cups in it, because that's also got a USA bottom bracket, so I could run the cranks there. But anyway, this is off eBay. Now, it was about half the price of the DMR product, and the reason is because it's rubbish. It just kind of pushes in. I was hoping it was going to press in, which it doesn't. So I put it on the my lathe here, and I just put some slots in it. And the reason I put some slots in is because I'm going to bolt it through. Comes with some bolts, so I'm going to bolt it through. Got myself some araldite. This is the strongest variant that they do. I'm hoping the araldite will sink into these grooves nicely, and then I've keyed in the frame, kind of roughed up the paint there, so it should bond in nicely. I'm gonna empty the whole tube pretty much in there to permanently fix this in, and you can see, well, you might not be able to see it, is actually it's threaded in here, which is a 68. It basically turns it into a BSA 68 bottom bracket shell, and then you can run regular cranks on it with a regular bottom bracket. So as I say, I've got some XT ones going on here with a square tapered bottom bracket. These are the cranks I've got. They're XT triple ring. Bit of a blast from the past. Just about to see a part number on there. FC M739s. Bit of a classic. They're in really good condition. These were donated by one of my good customers, Mr. Greenbridge. Thank you very much. I say donated, I gave him a token amount. That's about all I could afford at the minute. So I gave him a few quid. He helped me out, so he's given me a crank sets. He's given me some brakes as well. I've got some XT cantilevers, and there's a few other bits as well to go on. I did treat myself to these really old school, I think they're first generation kind of XT quality brake levers, and I also got new old stock XT thumb shifters. They even had the little plastic bit on, which I pulled off. Something was telling me that I shouldn't trust the eBay special parts that I've purchased. I just screwed a bottom bracket in here, just an old one that was kicking around, just to make sure the threads actually engage, and they're not kind of, they don't need chasing or anything. So it's screwed in pretty nicely, to be fair. I mean, it's what you'd expect. And then the non-drive as well, thought I'd better check that. That's screwed in nicely. As I say, I'm unsure as to what bottom bracket these take. I can't remember now. Obviously I've got Shimano ones. I think I've got UN, the newer version of UN 300s, but I can't remember the width. If anyone knows, let me know. If I haven't figured it out by the end of this video. It's quite flush there, so it's going to be fairly short. I think from memory they were like a 107 or a 110 or maybe even a 113 on these. I've got a feeling they were mega short though. So yeah, probably a 68 by 107 or something like that. But I'm sure there's someone out there who knows part numbers and knows exactly what width axle and things work with them. But don't really fit stuff like this much anymore. Most of the things I fit are kind of cheaper variants, and they all run like a 122 or a 127 bottom bracket. But anyway, we're getting pretty boring now, aren't we? So let's stop talking about numbers that no one cares about. Mix up that jubbly. As I say, with this we're going with Araldite. Is it gonna focus? There we go. Araldite Araldite Super Strong. It's the strongest one I could find just off the shelf in the motor factors. I use for anyone that's local, I use Motorman in Stalham for most of my kind of stuff, to be honest. Glues, cleaners. I'm really fond of this. It's pretty nasty, so you have to be a bit careful with it, but it does the job well. Quinton Hazel brake and parts cleaner, very good. Again, it comes from Motorman. It's like 5 litres down there for, I think it's like 16 quid or something. But yeah, they got loads of stuff. They're not paying me, obviously, say this, but they are just, yeah, really good for off-the-shelf kind of products. Bit of a rarity these days to find a shop that's well stocked. But right, we've got plenty of Araldite around there, plenty in the frame, so I'm just going to slide this one in, and then I will cover the other one, thread them together, bolt them up, wipe off the excess, and away we go. So that's in there. Don't know if it'll, sorry, not very good with the camera and try to do this. Right, that's that one in there. Let's unwind this bad boy now. Try to do everything one-handed. Right, that's that out. Right, okay. Put the camera down, we'll do the other one now. Oh yeah, look at that. I'm not gonna lie, it got pretty messy pretty quickly. One of those things when you try and do it as carefully as possible, and you get a bit of glue on one finger, and then it ends up on another one, and before you know it, your face is stuck to it. But as we see, that has pulled in the bottom a little bit, but it really doesn't matter. I've put loads on, probably more than was needed, but and then I've done these bolts up. There's 3 on this, so I've done them up very tight. I've also put a little bit of the kind of glue around the bolts as well, because I don't want this thing coming undone, and I don't want it, I never want to take it out again. So especially for this bike, it's not gonna see mega miles, so it doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, so if anyone says you can't change a USA/BMX bottom bracket into a BSA 68 BSA, they're wrong. You can, but I think if I had the choice, I would have definitely fitted a DMR Wonder Cup, which I don't think they make anymore. But yeah, when I built this up a while ago and played around with the cranks, I managed to find one new. So I fitted the Wonder Cup. That fits a lot better than this. As you saw, this just kind of literally presses in by hand, and then the final little bit, the bolts just kind of nip it in. So it definitely needed the glue there to stop it from creaking and to hold it in place, I think. Where the Wonder Cups, that went in, I just put a little bit of grease on that, anti-seize, and pressed it in, and then bolted it up, and yeah, it's a really good fit on that. So I thought I'd just spend a bit more time showing you the bike so far. I was going to do a bit of a build thing on this, but I haven't really had time, to be honest. I've just been slapping bits on willy-nilly when I get 5 minutes. But obviously we've been through the bottom bracket and my plans to fit the XT cranks there. As I did cover, I've got the XT rear derailleur on there. I've welded on the derailleur hanger, just because it's just easier, to be honest, and it now gives me enough clearance at the tyre end. Got some XT cantilevers with some new pads in there. 26-inch Gravel Kings. This is just on a cheap rear wheel at the minute. I really did want some sort of Mavic like I got in the front with a Dior hub, or even something maybe a bit more special, but I'll have to do for the time being, just so I can ride it. I've got a hanger there for the cable. I had a few of these knocking around, so I've just put a rack mount clamp on. These are normally for like a pannier rack to go to mount on if you don't have the holes in the frame, which this one doesn't. So I thought I'll put it on there. I might want a rack, you never know, but it's actually come in handy for that cable stop there. Cheap cheerful saddle and seat post. Cheap cheerful bottle with a couple of tie bolts in red because I'm a tart. We've got an XTR front derailleur which I had knocking about, as you do. The heaviest pannier rack, the heaviest kind of basket rack known to man on the front, but it is steel, so it's probably fairly strong. That mounts on quite well, to be honest. It's pretty heavy duty. I mean, it should be 100 quid RRP, so I mean you'd expect it to be pretty good, but again, just bolts on in the normal way. 26-inch Mavic wheel, an old one I had in stock with a deal hub. Got the XT brake levers and shifters, ODI grips. Normally I'd order these in myself, but there's a fella on eBay selling quite a few of these, and they were I think that's like 8 quid posted. I mean, bargain. Bars, they're actually motocross MX bars off eBay, and again they're cheap and cheerful. This bike I didn't want to spend a huge amount of, though I did get a bit carried away when I ordered them, but and the rack of basket, but yeah, it's getting there. So now I just got to fit the crank, work out axles and bore and stuff sizes, various things to make it work, cable the brakes up, cable the gears up, job done. I am thinking about just being a bit boring and putting black cables on, but I don't know, I might get a bit fruity, put white ones on there or purple or something. I will have to order those, unfortunately, because I've only got black in stock, but yeah, I don't know, what do you think? I'm not sure what colour cables will look good on there. Probably just black, to be honest. You can get a bit carried away, can't you? I remember when I've done a couple of 90s builds in the past, I got a bit carried away with the anodise and ended up with red and green and blue and all sorts, and to be fair, it looked pretty bad in the end. I think sometimes if you just stick with kind of 2 or 3 colours, it looks a lot better. But yeah, there we go. Anyway, I'll do maybe another update on social media when it's finished or something like that, but bit of a retro treat for you.